Hello, everybody. We're gonna recenter ourselves, find our inner good student, and we're gonna get to chapter 17. So, super quickly, I want to go through, name these things, and tell you their order of reactivity, and then we'll get into the actual reaction stuff. So, first of all, let's talk about the ones we already should know at this point. So, we have our carboxylic acid, and then we have our ester. And then we have our amide. Yay. And then Katrina, being the lovely person she is, mentioned that this guy is called an acid halide. And we can also call it an alkyl halide. Moving to the right. This guy is called a Thio Ester. Thio just means it's an ester, but the O is swapped with an S. And then this is an acid anhydride. Anhydride. Excuse me. Wow. There we go. Go for it. Katrina's abandoning us all. I'm kidding.
Not abandoning, you're just leaving for a brief period of time.
That's what my dad said. No, I'm kidding.
I probably shouldn't. That might be a little tricky for some people.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right.
We're good.
So, the order of reactivity, I kind of went over this in a lot of detail in SI, but I'm just going to give you the order now because I know a lot of people don't care. So, the most reactive is the acid halide, super duper 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 reactive. And then after that, we have the acid anhydride. After that, we have carboxylic acid and esters, which are approximately the same. And then we have our thioesters. And then we have our amides. So this is the most reactive, least reactive. Ta-da. And then nucleophilic acyl substitution reactions typically go from more reactive to less reactive. I'll give you a moment to soak that in. Do we have any questions? No, stability and reactivity are the same. So the more stable something is, the less reactive it is. So they're opposites, basically. All right. So now when we're naming esters, we're going to break this up into a couple different pieces. So we have 1, 2, 3. So the first piece that we're going to name is the blue one, the side that's coming off of the oxygen. It has 1, 2, 3 carbons, so it is a propyl. And on this side, we have 2 carbons, 1, 2. So it's a propyl FN, and then the suffix for the ester is ethanoate. Propyl ethanoate. And then someone responded to the reactivity thing and said they're opposites. So yeah, the more reactive something is, the less stable it is. And the reason we name it this way is because this guy is the parent, right? The parent is the priority. It gets named last. So this is thought of as like a substituent. So whatever comes off of the oxygen, we're going to name first. No, so it's not necessarily the longest chain. It's the longest chain that has the priority group on it. And this is the priority group. So this aldehyde right here, you can, excuse me. Yeah, so okay, how I want to explain it, because both sides are technically connected to their ester, right? But think of it this way. So this carbon right here is attached to one oxygen. This carbon right here is attached to 3 oxygens, basically, because it's it's actually 2 oxygens, but it's 3 bonds to oxygen. So this guy has priority. So this side is the parent. And then as far as IUPAC, this is IUPAC. So there's no like substituents or anything here. So this is how IUPAC would name this. Now let's go over to the next one. Hopefully we'll see sides a little bit. So we have, bam, the side coming off of the oxygen. And then we have this side. And then we have this. So sorry. Okay, just wanted to make sure my color coding was the same. So we're going to start with the blue again. 1, 2 carbons. So it is ethyl. And then on this side, we have 1, 2, 3 carbons. So it's ethyl prop and then the last part, propanoate. So you can see that these guys are opposites because the first one had a propyl attached to the oxygen and an ethyl attached to the carbonyl, whereas this one has an ethyl attached to the oxygen and a propyl attached to the carbonyl. And then the last one is going to be the one where it has a different IUPAC name than a common name. So if we just go over here, something that you guys might or should recognize from Orgo 1 is this group right here. And then we also have this chain right here. And then we have this guy right here. So the group that I said you probably should recognize is something called a isopropyl. I almost said tert butyl, and I was like, that's not a tert butyl. Sorry, what?
Not a chicken foot.
Not a chicken foot. So this is
It'd be like that.
It do. Isobutyl. And then here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's butane. And then we ended off with 08. Yay. So IUPAC. I'm so sorry.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long week. Isopropyl butanoate. Ta-da. And the only thing that would change in IUPAC is we have to like use the numbers here. So we would call it 1-methyl ethyl butanoate. What?
Just the copy here.
Oh, I don't like to write it.
This might sound annoying, but how would you write that in condensed formula? Because I know they're gonna have the answer choices in condensed formula.
They won't.
They won't?
Not for this, no, because that would look really ugly. If they did this in
Alright,
condensed formula, I would start a riot.
Bet.
I'm just
What's gonna happen? We lose our jobs?
for real. For real. Ronald watching this later. What'd you say?
Chris was just like, what do with the next semester?
They can't stop us all. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So now let's go into the reaction, right? So I'm going to show you the rosemary way to do this. Get ready to write. This is a lot. So when we do this, we're going to say highlight leaving group, highlight nucleophile, and then we replace. Ta-da!
I actually thought you
No.
were serious about it being a lot, and I was like,
No.
"But how?" I mean,
You were like, how are you going to stretch this one out?
no, I'm like, the reaction mechanism already isn't that long.
Imagine if I just made it like 12 steps.
Roche can do it.
Couldn't be. He could, because he'd just be like, the leaving group isn't really a leaving group. It's
not
just
that great of a
it's such a good leaving group that it acts as a staying group. The trauma. Anyway. Okay. Yeah, Katrina already mentioned that. Not a staying group.
Just be nice. We all ask
He's
about
French.
it every day.
No, I'm kidding.
No, that's fact.
It's not letting me write. Come on, bro. Oh, there we go.
That's
This is my interpretation. No, this is my interpretation of a manatee dancing.
Low key though.
Okay, here, I'll sign it for you guys.
Abstract art. I love it.
Okay, anyways. Okay. New Nift. Thanks, guys. See, anytime I'm sad, I just come here and you guys hype me up and I go about my day. The emotions I feel from that. Okay. Okay. Sorry. All right. So when we're trying to make an acid chloride or halide or whatever, we could use SLCl2, PBr3, PCl3, PCl5, any of these guys will make an acid halide. Katrina already talked about that, so we're just going to speed past it. The one time I wanted it to scroll, it didn't. Alrighty, so these are our lactones and lactams. So lactone is a cyclic ester, and a lactam is a cyclic amide. And all of my I am so confused about that message. That just reset me as a human being. Anyways, so all of my students that were at my SI session saw this earlier today. Yeah, sure. I'm just going to move on. Yes. So when we're naming this, we go out alpha, beta, gamma, delta, swag, delta, lactone, alpha, beta, what? Sweet. Gamma, lactone. And then we have alpha, beta. Beta, lactone. Good soup. Alpha, lactone. Today's for sure a no bones day.
I was like, what?
Same. So I'm just gonna write it in here.
This is probably like the easiest thing from this chapter, guys.
Yeah, for real. That's why Roche didn't cover it.
Yeah, exactly. Roche literally just gave them a lactone, but didn't even bother to say it's a lactone. He just goes, "This is a secret.
It's a bone state." Sorry. Oop.
Look, it scrolled now.
Of course it did. I showed that to my friend and he was not amused. But every day I'm like, "Hey Zach, it's a bones day. And he's like, I don't know what that means. I'm like, you're bad, homie. It's such a cute dog. I just don't know how it lived that long, the pug. I feel like if anyone doesn't believe that evolution is a thing, you gotta see a pug. Like, look at a pug and look at a wolf.
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
It's truly mind blowing. Or a wolf to a chihuahua.
Chihuahuas. Two. Right? Okay. Chihuahuas are terrifying. Right?
Yes. Valid.
Also, the name Chihuahua. Like, who made that name up?
And it was just like, yeah, do you know that's gonna be named a chihuahua?
Stop. Oh, I'm crying. Okay. At least they didn't.
Oh, valid. But then who went to a city was like, do you know what? This city's name is Chihuahua.
A whole state?
Still.
Who went to a
Something.
state? You guys are missing the point here.
Like, who was just like, yes, that is a valid name. Worst names, to be fair.
When we get to chapter 18, there's a reaction that's called the Hellsvold-Hard-Zelinsky reaction. I'm like, oh!
I do like it because it has. It's called Hellsvold Zelinsky. Hard.
I had a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Roach only do chapter 16 and 17, correct?
Yes, yes. Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
good.
God, I could not have imagined if he did 18. I would be
Oof.
so much worse than I am now.
Oof. If he did chapter 18 on this exam, I would have rioted.
I just don't get how they're gonna do like that.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
We'll talk. Do you want to do some practice problems?
You guys want to do practice problems? Because we can.
Or I mean, like, let's
Wait,
just do
wait,
like
wait.
one or two.
You skipped the lactone one.
Oh yeah, I did this. I did this today, so I saw it and I was like, oh, we did this one. That. Okay. So, friends, let's look at this lactone question. Yes. So, I already went through the spiel earlier today, but if you're anything like me, you look at this and you're like, ew. So then you have to draw this out, and then you're like, okay, so what happens, blah, blah, blah. And then you spend 15 minutes on one question, and then you leave out like 14 unanswered questions, and then you fail. Oh no, we don't want that. So I'm going to show you a little cheat to use. So Rosemary's method for answering this type of question is, first, we find the carbonyl. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't know how to find a carbonyl in condensed formula. That's because you didn't listen to me in the first 2 weeks of the semester when I said, hey guys, there's some condensed formulas you should know. So let's go over it now, if I must. So if you see COOH, that is a carboxylic acid. If you see COH, that's an aldehyde. If you see I'm just dead at the fact that he was also whispering. COCl, looks like so. What did you just say?
Cockle.
Cockle?
So sorry.
Oh no. The sadness I feel can't be cured. We're good. Everyone's sitting here like, what just happened?
Did you guys hear what I said? Please tell me no. I do think it's a bones day.
Oh, that's good. Whew. All right. If anyone didn't hear her, she just whispered cockles in reference to COCL. So that's what we're laughing at.
So sorry.
All right, ready? Back to work. Okay. Okay, so first, and then the other one that people find confusing but is really important. COOCH3 is an ester. What?
Oh, look at that word. What would have it been if I said cockle over that one? Choco's broke. Katrina, no.
The laugh I'm having right now is so ugly.
Guys, I think I have abs now.
You're done. You're done. I need to leave.
I do.
And this is Katrina signing off for the last time. So anyway, guys, at least now we know who's the problem. No, I'm kidding. Is it me? Am I the drama? Steric hindrance. You are steric hindrance, Katrina.
Valid. Valid.
I almost went, so who's your bulky base? I need to stop, okay? The fact that she's like hunched over right now, you're done. Leave. Wait, both of us? I guess I'll just close the session now. Can you imagine? Everyone's like, oh, and now she's leaving us. You guys did it. You did it. You're making her leave.
But I love you guys. I'll see y'all.
Wait, no.
No. I actually have to go pick up my car, or else the shop's gonna close and I won't have a car for the weekend.
She was like, wait, I didn't mean to have this much power.
Alright. Bye guys. I love y'all. I'll see you. I'll post the guide over the weekend and then I'll see some of you guys on Monday.
Everyone's saying bye. XD face. Peace.
Oh,
Wow.
is yours good?
Yeah, I'm so good. I'm gonna die of the hiccups. I thought you said go away, Santiago, and I was like, that was forward. I was like, that was unnecessary. Okay, yes. But anyway, now that we've all given Katrina a lovely farewell, we're gonna speed through the rest of this so we can all go home. Or if you're already home, so you can turn off your computer. Just okay. So where were we? Yes. Okay. So these are the condensed formulas that I want you guys to know. I know nobody's going to remember them anyway, but there they are for you. Yeah, after that experience though, you probably should, let's be honest. But whatever. So you're going to go through each of these answer choices. The first thing you're going to do is find the carbonyl. The next thing you're going to find is the alcohol. So carbonyl, alcohol, carbonyl, alcohol. Someone said I'm going to be in the test like cockle. You know, whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes. All right. So once you've determined the carbonyl and the alcohol, you're going to go in, you're going to find the carbonyl carbon, and you're going to start counting next door. So alpha, beta, gamma. We're going to pretend that's not the right answer so we can look at the other answer choices. Start at the carbonyl carbon, 1 over alpha, beta, gamma, delta. I will zoom out, I promise. finding the carbonyl carbon, alpha, beta. And in the last one, find the carbonyl carbon, alpha. No, it does not have to be a carboxylic acid. It can be any carbonyl group and an OH, because this OH is going to attack here and form the lactone. So this is like pre-lactone, kind of. And we'll talk about making and breaking lactones in a sec. All right. So the answer would be A, because A is the only one that stops exactly at the gamma. Any questions about how I did this? I know we kind of got off track a little bit, but I want to make sure everyone's reeled back in and nobody's like super confused. Okay, so how did I do this? Let's erase the name and do that part over again. So step number 1, find the carbonyl. Step number 2, find the OH. Carbonyl, OH, carbonyl, OH, carbonyl, OH. So now you're going to go to the carbonyl and you're going to start counting next door. Alpha, beta, gamma. All the way to the alcohol. So here, find the carbonyl, start next door. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta. So this will form a delta lactone. If we start at the carbonyl carbon, alpha, beta, that'll form a beta lactone. For the last one, we start at the carbonyl carbon next door, alpha. So the only one that forms a gamma lactone is this guy. Does that make a little bit more sense how I did that? Okay, cool, cool, cool. I'm very glad. All right, so I'm gonna zoom out so you guys can like look at all the lactone stuff. And then I'm gonna right quick show you how to do making and breaking lactones, and then I will let you enjoy your Friday evening. At this point, before I switch over to the other page, you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, whether it be about lactones, about any other chapter, about the exam, anything? So which chapters are is the exam on? So for Dr. Roche, it's strictly 16 and 17. And you have all that weird stuff that Katrina went over. And then, what's it called? Sorry, someone said something and it confused me in the chat. So yes, Dr. Roche, you have 16, 17, and all the stuff Katrina talked about. For Dr. West's class, you have the second half of chapter 15. And then you have 16 and 17, but you don't have all that extra stuff that Katrina did today. You're only going to be tested on what I did today. And then Wittig is not reversible. Yes, so Wittig is the only reaction in chapter 16 that is not reversible. And the reason it's not reversible is because we are making carbon-carbon bonds. So again, the Wittig reaction is not reversible because we're making carbon-carbon bonds. So the chapter 15 review, I'm going to do another exam review. Like next week is all going to be review. Like I'm going to spend the whole week reviewing in my SI and tutoring sessions. And in addition, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do yet. I'm trying to figure it out. But sometime next week, I'm going to do like another mini review where I cover chapter 15 and 16, 17 problems. So that'll be the chapter 15 review. And I also have the SI videos out. And then, yes, Stephanie, just remind me when I finish with the lactone stuff, and then I ask for a recap. Okay, cool. All right, so we're just going to switch into my other handout just because I don't feel like wasting everyone's time and drawing all this again for the 5,000th time. So go in here. And let's look at making and breaking lactones. So for making lactones, it's going to be an intramolecular reaction. So you're going to have something that has a leaving group and a nucleophile on the same chain. So for example, the chlorine will act as a leaving group and the OH will become deprotonated and it will act like a nucleophile. So again, intramolecular reaction, we attack the carbonyl and we form a lactone. And we're kind of doing this sped up because I want you guys to like understand it and then kind of get into a rhythm of like doing it like not every single step, if that makes sense. And then someone asked, how do you know which are used in intra? And I'm guessing you mean like, how do you know which one is an intramolecular reaction? So intramolecular reactions are going to have the leaving group and the nucleophile on the same carbon chain. And another giveaway is you'll have like just a base. Like for example, you just have NaOH. Or sometimes they'll give you something like this, which is a carbon with a negative charge like this. So that's another giveaway that like, oh, okay, so maybe something else is going to be the nucleophile if they're just giving me a base. You feels me? All right, and then please, 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 pretty please, make sure you count and keep track of your carbons. I personally like to count from the oxygen because it reminds me that the oxygen is inside the ring. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We draw a 5-membered ring, and then we add the substituents wherever they may be. The reverse of this is breaking a lactone. So I'm going to actually zoom in a little bit because this is written kind of small. So if you start with a lactone, I have a lot of arrows written here. I'm going to explain what they all mean. So essentially, we're going to pick out our leaving group. We're going to pick out our nucleophile, get rid of one of the hydrogens. And these arrows represent this guy coming and attacking. That brings the electrons up, brings the electrons down, and kicks this bond open. What I told my students today is don't worry about these if they don't make sense to you. You don't need to know the arrows for the exam. All you need to know is that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons. So we're going to have a 4-carbon chain. And on one side, we have an OH because of this. And on the other side, we just added this group. So I'm going to zoom out and let you take a look at these. I know we went through these kind of fast and kind of like the chopped up way of doing it. Any questions? Yes, that's a wonderful question. It was, can we also use a reducing agent to break them? Yes, we can. So I'm not sure if Katrina mentioned this, but way back in chapter 12, I planted a little seed in everyone's brains where I was like, hey, look at this thing. We're going to break it open using a reduction. And we absolutely did that. And the only difference was instead of a heteroatom, we used a hydrogen as our nucleophile. So I'm glad you made that connection. Yay.
Right. Can you explain how you broke it again? Well, broke the cycle.
Yeah. And this one I'll actually do like a stepwise one. I messed up. Okay, so let's say we have this. I'm going to do the same exact reaction. Okay. So step number 1, we steal a hydrogen. Cool. Plus charge. Woohoo. Step number 2, the nitrogen attacks So we get bam, bam, and get O, H, and 2. Okay, so we have a plus charge here, right? We don't want a plus charge. And in this chapter, we know that this guy is a better leaving group than this one. So we're just going to do 2 intramolecular, no, we're going to do 1 intramolecular proton transfer, stealing this hydrogen. And we get ta-da. And at this point, OH is a good leaving group, so we're going to bring these electrons down, kick this open. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And on this side, this is what we have here. Becomes an OH. On this side, we have an N. And we still have this H here, but luckily we have Cl minus left over. And that's going to come and deprotonate. So we end up getting, sorry, this has become messy. Ta-da! I hope this is helpful. I know it's a little bit messy. I apologize. So what do we think?
So the Cl comes at the end to take the hydrogen away.
Mm-hmm. And no, this is not a reducing agent reaction. This is just the same reaction we had before. I just drew out the mechanism. So if we used a reducing agent, this would be an aldehyde. This group wouldn't be there. It would just be an H. Okay, so I'm kind of enjoying this quiet right now. So I'm gonna stop talking for a few minutes and allow you guys to just ask me questions for a couple minutes. You do not need to know the whole mechanism. Someone just asked to see it. Good question though. These reactions are all good to know the mechanisms, but you're not going to be tested on the mechanisms at all. Yes, chapter 16. I know. Remind me which one it was. You said it was the end of the last row of the last page or something? Oh, are you talking about this one? And yes, all the arrows I drew in SI this morning was like a shortcut to the mechanism. So instead of drawing all the different things, I just drew all 4 arrows at once. Okay, so page 2.
No, I'm talking about page 2.
What happened?
Page 2 is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you wanted to name these guys? Okay, yeah, we can definitely do that. So, this first one is a hydrazine. This one is a hydrazone. This one is phenyl hydrazine. I'm just going to keep it zoomed out, actually. I don't want to keep zooming in and out. This guy is a nitrogen with one R group, so that is a, primary amine. This guy is a single bond to a nitrogen and a double bond here, so that is an enamine. If you're having trouble remembering that name, think of it as an amine. Pew, mind blown. Okay, so this is a gem diol. This is an imine. This is a phenyl hydrazone. This is an oxime. This is a hydroxyl amine. And then this last row is all acetal ketol stuff. So if we have an R group and a hydrogen, we know that's going to be acetal. If we have two R groups, that's ketol. And then how do we tell between regular or hemi? Well, hemi has one OH group. Acetal and ketol have two OR groups. So I'm highlighting them each a different color. So if we have RHOHOR, that is a hemiacetal. If you have two ORs, it's an acetal. If you have RR and then one OH, one OR, that's a hemiketol. And this would be a ketol. I'll give everyone a second in case you want to write that down or fill anything in. Alrighty. So thanks, Stephanie, for that question. It was really good. I feel like this would help a lot of people. Does anyone else have any questions? I'll give it another moment. If not, this is all the content stuff that we have for this exam, so that's great, except for my section, we have the chapter 15 stuff. Top of the same page is important. It's just something we've covered before, but we could just do it right quick. So, amide, ketone, carboxylic acid, aldehyde, ester. So aldehyde is the most reactive, and aldehyde is most reactive, and then ketone, and then carboxylic acid and ester are approximately the same. And then we have amides, which are the most stable. So I'm going to say most stable, most reactive. So someone said for which reaction, this trend is true for everything, basically. Like for whatever reaction in this chapter we're doing, this is the order of reactivity. And remember, the carbonyl is the electrophile. You're very welcome. Also, sorry that as soon as Katrina left, it became very, like, subdued and chill. I'm just in kind of a chill mood today. And there's no one to, like, feed off their energy. So I'm just kind of chilling. Very dry. Jeez. I am overflowing with personality right now. Sarah said it's nice. The coffee wore off. I don't even think the coffee hit today. I've been running off pure adrenaline and yeah. I need sleep. I do. I do. I don't sleep. No, we're just having a vibey Friday. Yes, I agree. Um, heck yeah, Stephanie. No sleep gang together. Why are we all such a mess? But yes, so as far as oh my gosh, Holy Spirit activate. Holy Spirit activate. Whoever made that, or not whoever made that reference, I can see the name. I don't know what I'm saying. It's our sparkle. It's true. We need sleep when you can just snort glitter in the morning. I don't know why I said that. All right. I did tell you guys we wanted to glitter. No, I meant actual glitter. No. No, I've actually inhaled glitter accidentally before and it's really bad. I just use a lot of glitter. There's this picture that I had in my graduation photo shoot for my master's degree, and I'm dramatic AF. That's why I did one of those. But I like threw glitter, and the girl like positioned me. She was like, "Okay, just throw it," and I was like, "Okay." And I turned my face and I throw it, and it just went right into my nostril. I am 22. I will be 23 in 23 days. Wow, I'm gonna be 23 in 23 days. That's fun. So yes, now you know my dirty secret. I'm a fetus. Except a lot of you guys are younger than me, so yeah, I was advanced for my no, I'm kidding. I went to FAU High. So basically I was grown in a lab and one day they were like, "Here's your diploma." And I was like, "Ah." But yes, I keep trying to say this and I keep getting distracted. We're done with content for today. So yes. I'll stick around for a couple more minutes just to chat, answer any questions, whatnot. But yeah, I hope this was helpful for you guys. Sorry if it felt super rushed. Katrina and I were both kind of just done with this week. But yeah. And yes, I've been here forever and a half. Which is funny because so it's no big deal, but I got into FAU's med school. And so I'm like really, really, really excited about it. But I'm also like, this marks my 10-year anniversary at FAU. And I'm like, thanks, guys. You guys are so nice. Congrats, but also big oof. Yeah, that's been my mood. That's been my mood. Yeah, so I started at FAU in 2012. So when I start in 2020, that'll mark 10 years. It's been a long road. But yeah. And then Simon, I saw your message. I just need to scroll up and find it because I lost it. Okay, I got it. So yeah. Simon basically said, like, I have no idea what's going on. I feel like I'm lost and I don't know what to study. Go and start with the SI handouts and go through the PowerPoints and like fill out the handouts if you can by yourself. And then once you do that, look at any conceptual stuff from the handouts and then go and do the practice problems. So we have practice problems, but Dr. West and Dr. Roche have their own practice problems. So go through those ones. And then if you go through all of that and you still don't feel prepared, textbook problems. But that would be the last thing I do, textbook problems. Is that sort of helpful? Okay, cool. But you know, yeah, I do know. This class just kind of feels like that sometimes, where it's like, so much is happening. I don't really know what's going on. Just vibing, you know. You're very welcome. Have a nice day. Have a nice Friday. Have a nice weekend. Study hard. Good luck on the exam. Yeah, if you say it enough times, it comes true. That's what I've been manifesting. I've been writing down in this journal. This is so lame. I can't believe I'm about to share it to like 12 whole people. But I have been writing down like I got into medical school this year and it happened. So manifesting. Woo. Bye, Simon. Have a good one. I don't know what's up with the faces I'm making today. Do I have any tips for getting into FAU's med school? So, okay, I have a lot of tips for getting into med school in general, and I feel like I'm gonna make my own panel with just myself. Like all the other pre-health organizations can just shut up. I know everything, right? Kidding, but also not. So basically, long story short, first of all, FAU like owns my soul, right? I've been here for like 200 years, and I'm just gonna close that because we're not using it anymore. But when I was doing my master's here, I decided to finally get into extracurricular activities. So I was doing a whole bunch of volunteering, research, and what's the other one? Shadowing, things like that. So shadowing obviously wasn't through the school, but I volunteered through the school and I also did research at school, and FAU is really, really, really big on research. So I would recommend getting some research in there, even if you don't love research. I usually don't say that. Like I usually say if you don't like research, don't bother with it. But if you specifically want to go to FAU, they're super big on research, so I would recommend it. And then what else? Oh yeah, so I volunteered a couple different places. So first of all, if you're a pre-med, I definitely recommend AMSA. And there are some students in this class, I don't know if they want to out themselves, but they are directors of AMSA this year, and they can help you get connected. But AMSA is really, really helpful in connecting you to opportunities. So AMSA connected me to Standardized Patient Program and HCOP, and you're very welcome. And those things really helped me like get my foot in the door and make new contacts. And also, standardized patient, I wouldn't do it just for the letter of recommendation, but you do get a letter of recommendation if you volunteer for a certain number of hours in one semester. That wasn't as valuable to me as the actual experience though, because I volunteered pretty regularly, and by the end of the year, I knew most of their physical exams and most of their like questioning stuff. So it was kind of funny because I would get my scripts and everything, and you have to like memorize some stuff. It's not too crazy. But by the end of the semester, like by the end of the year, I was volunteering for their like final exam. And when they were questioning me, I was like, oh, they forgot this. Oh, they're going to ask me this now. Oh, they're going to do this physical exam. I'm like, oh, they better ask me for this physical exam. And so it really, really helps, especially if you're planning into going to med school, especially FAU's med school. Having that experience is going to help you so much because you're going to have, even if it's a little bit, but you're going to have an advantage, not necessarily like advantage against your peers or whatever, but like you're going to feel better. You're going to know what to expect once you get to med school. And then someone said, I heard getting a master's degree gives you a better chance of getting into med school. So that used to be a big thing. So it's like being an untraditional student. You get a master's, whatever, you're a non-traditional student. But right now, more people are getting masters, so I feel like it's not as big as it used to be, like as extraordinary to get a master's degree. But like, okay, the reason I say that is because a lot of people just do a master's because they're like, oh, it'll add to my resume or whatever. Don't do a master's just to do a master's. Like, if you have a lower GPA than you'd like, do a master's. If you want to do more like academic activities and you don't have time, you could do a master's. If you did maybe not necessarily a science major in your undergrad and you want to get like a better basis for science, do a master's. If you want to do a lot of research and, learn more stuff while you're at it, you can do a master's. The reason I say that is because a lot of people will be like, well, so why did I get a master's? Great question. So there was a couple things. One, I started college when I was like 14, right? So I didn't care about college when I started. I was like, I don't understand what a transcript is. I don't know. I didn't know that like one bad grade literally stuck with you forever. So I didn't do too hot my first 2 years as an undergrad. So my GPA was like low key trash. And since it was kind of trash, I wanted, and also I was 20. You can retake classes, but it doesn't get off of your record. So like what's messed up is that as an FAU high student, you're supposed to get like grade forgiveness for one class. So I was like, oh, I got one, I failed one class, but that's besides the point. And so I was like, oh, I'll just retake it. And, I got an A the second time. But no, med school doesn't care about grade forgiveness. They see all of your grades. And so it was like, I need a master's. Also, I felt like in my undergrad, I didn't get a good enough basis of science. And obviously, I was a neuroscience major, I was a psych major, whatever, but I felt like medical science, I didn't know as well as I should. I never took an anatomy class, anything like that. So that's why I did the master's. Also, on the down low, I really wanted to go to FAU's med school at some point. So I was like, oh, I'll just do a master's there and it'll give me a better shot of getting in. I don't know how true that is. I've heard it's not super true, but whatevs. Also, I didn't want to start right away because I was pretty young. I think I mentioned that maybe. When I graduated with my bachelor's, I was 20. And a lot of people said like, oh, that's too young. Med schools are gonna, and I was like freshly turned 20. So a lot of med schools were like, oh, you're too young, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, okay, fine. I'll work for 2 more years. I'll get some more research experience, blah, blah, blah. And then, sorry, I had the hiccups. I was thinking about getting a master's because I'm a transfer student and it gives me more time to do more things, like hide away of the sins that COVID really hit. Yes, I totally get that. I feel like something that, like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just like other pre-meds or if it's like people who like tell you what to do. They're always like, no breaks, no gap years, blah, blah, blah. Just go do the thing, apply, get in, blah, blah. I really hate that mentality, mostly because one, you get so burnt out, especially as a pre-med, especially applying to med school. You get so burnt out and you want some time to relax. And like a lot of people are like, oh, master's program is not really relaxing. It's not, but at the same time, it's like it gives you something to do. Like I really need schedule and I really need like things to be scheduled. I need my days to be like organized. So it was either do a master's or get a full-time job, and the master's just made sense for me. So I did that, and I also studied for my Mcat in that time. So I wouldn't recommend studying for the Mcat when you have a full course load. But when I was in my master's, I had 2 semesters where I was only taking 1 class. So that was my like Mcat study time. So that was super helpful. Yeah, so 2020 was a horrible time. COVID was a horrible time. And I know that for a lot of people, it was a terrible mental health time. So, with everything going on, like I know personally, I lost motivation. I didn't want to study. I didn't want to do anything. So, there's kind of like a dip, and I feel like everyone can relate to that. So you definitely have a shot. Like that one blip is not going to like mess you up forever. Um, just try not to dwell on the bad things, because something I did was like, yeah, the worst thing on my application was like I had a 3.4 GPA or 3.3 GPA, whatever, in undergrad. And in my mind, that was like the worst thing in the world. And like my grad GPA was a 3.99, but I was like, I'm a failure, blah, blah, blah. I'm dumb. They're going to look at me and be like, what a dumb coconut with a 3.4 GPA. And like, yeah. And I'm like, would I ever say that about someone else with a 3.4 GPA? No, a 3.4 is not bad, you know? Like, as long as you have a 3.0 or higher, no med school is going to look at you and be like, why did you even bother applying, you know? But in my head, it was like, you are your worst critic. Yeah, definitely. So, like, in your head, you blow those things out of proportion. And my biggest thing is don't let people overwhelm you. I have anxiety, so everything overwhelms me. But when I was applying, I listened to so many different people telling me so many different things, and I felt like I was being pulled in a million directions. And if anyone saw my email about the Mcat supplies, I literally bought so many Mcat supplies because I was just so overwhelmed, and everyone was like telling me a different thing, and I was like, I don't know what to do. So, yes, talk to people, get connections, get more information. But at the end of the day, do what you do, right? So like when I was applying, some people were like, "Oh, you need to get like 500 hours of shadowing at the least, and you have to shadow at 4 different places, and you have to be there at like 3 months minimum, whatever." And then some people were like, "No, have 100 hours and you're good." So people are going to tell you wildly different information, and it'll drive you crazy. So try to get like a medium amount of everything, and at the end of the day, do what you enjoy. The worst thing you could do is only spend your time doing things for your resume and for your application, and one, not doing anything you enjoy, and two, not doing anything you care about. So like for example, I loved volunteering at HCOP. It was my favorite thing to do. So for a semester, I literally did it like 3 times a week or 2 times a week, however many times I did it. I spent like 12 hours a week in the gross anatomy lab, and it was my favorite thing to do. I didn't shadow that semester, but I just had the best time. And was that something I put on my application? Yes. But did I do it only for the application? Absolutely not. I did it because I really loved it. And a lot of students, not to sound like condescending or anything, because I was in the same headspace, but a lot of pre-meds are put in this headspace where it's like, only do things for your application. If it's not for the application, it's not worth your time. And I hate that mindset, because then people don't enjoy anything, and then they get into med school and either they're completely burnt out, they realize they don't care about med school, or they've lost all their passion, and you don't want that. And then what was the MCAT like? The MCAT is a bad memory. It's not really like Orgo 2 stuff. My biggest thing for the MCAT is it requires a lot of stamina, and it requires a lot of like long-term studying. And the worst thing you could do is get too held up on notes, which is weird because I am a note person. I like to write everything down. But something I realized is I have like gigantic folders. Like I literally threw out a stack of paper this tall of just notes. And I realized my issue was I was studying as if I was going to study again later. So when you take notes for the MCAT, don't take notes like you do for Orgo 2. What you should, like, when we do a long mechanism, don't write that whole mechanism. Write the summary. And the reason is you want to learn it the first time and then just review it later. But what I was doing was reviewing it, writing everything down, and then thinking, oh, I'll relearn it later. But you don't have time for that. You really don't. And if you have any questions about like how to take notes and stuff, let me know. Again, I'm not, I didn't get a 530 on the Mcat, so I'm not like the poster child for the Mcat. But I did take it during COVID, and then I retook it a year later, and I did a lot better. And I think I learned a lot about one, how I study, and two, things people don't tell you about the Mcat. And then, yeah, you definitely have to have self-care within academia, especially if you're going into the medical field, because something that's really scary, that's like the highest or the second highest field where people experience burnout and suicide. Like, especially now after COVID, it's crazy. And if you don't learn like the self-care techniques and like the ways to like calm yourself down and, work through things, you're definitely going to have trouble as a physician. And again, not saying that in a condescending way, but like it's rough. So one, you have to have a passion for it. You have to love it. And two, I don't know what it's like right now, but the Mental Health and Medicine and Research group of AMSA, I used to be one of the directors for it. And we focused a lot on like mental health in the medical field. And I know the people before us did it and the people after us. So that's a good way to learn more about mental health. Even if there's a lot of people in STEM also who are like, psychology is stupid. And I'm like, stop. So you want to learn a little bit about psychology, learn a little bit about mental health, learn how to take care of yourself. That stuff is super important. And yes, definitely email me if you need help with that kind of stuff. I got you. I was thinking of doing like, Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. I kind of based my intro to Orgo or my Orgo I read bro please at the same time I said handbook and I said hand bro. I can't. Okay. So yeah, I wanted to make like a Rosemary's Guide to Pre-Med Life. It's just a lot of work, but like if you guys would want it, I can definitely do that. I need a fun activity to do. Okay. I'm sold. I'll do it. Just for you guys. Yay. Okay. You sold me. I'll do it. I'm excited about that now. Okay. But yeah, there's just so much. There's so many things to consider. And again, I just want to preface, by no means am I like an academic advisor or a counselor or anything, but I've been through it. It really sucked. And I wish someone told me some of these things. So, got you. Exactly. Yeah, like some of the things you hear from like professors or from like faculty, things like that is like crazy. Like, I don't know. People really love to like kill people's spirits. And like, trust me, I know there's a million pre-meds out there. Like, I know. And I know theoretically, if every single pre-med became a doctor, we'd have a bajillion doctors, right? That being said, some professors and like some people try to crush your spirit so hard, like it's unreal. And I hate when people are like, well, you should just change your major. Like you shouldn't even try to be a doctor. I'm like, don't tell me what to do. You don't know my life. You don't know my story. Boo you. So yeah. It's like the girls on Tinder who match talk shit. No, literally. And yeah, they do often project their insecurities. And they are vicious, yes. They also are useless if you are the ones that FAU. No tea, no shade, but lots of tea, lots of shade. Also, okay, the biggest thing I recommend, learn about the application cycle before you apply. And that's a really weird thing to say, but something that I personally did, and I know a lot of other people did, they were like, they had a vague idea of what the application cycle is like, but they didn't like actually know all the different things. So what I did, I'll actually show you right quick. because I showed it to someone the other day, so I have it on hand. But I made like a super, super vague calendar. Yeah, I'm pretty much winging my entire life right now. Just kidding, everything is planned, but also it's also winging it. I don't know. Very, shut up. Okay, not you guys. I'm just trying to open this. Okay, here we go. Okay. So I did something super easy like this. Oh, okay. Ta-da. So I put the day for my MCAT. I put the time when I need my pre-recs done, when I need my letter of recs done. Know when the application cycle starts, when they can be submitted. So May 1st, the application opens, and then May 31st, applications can be submitted. So you're allowed to work on your applications between May 1st and 31st. You just can't submit until the 31st. And then someone said, I'm going to plan it, but who knows if everything works out. Girl, when I tell you the first time I went to apply, I had every single thing planned out to the day. Everything was perfect. I was going to be like months ahead of schedule. And then COVID happened. My MCAT was pushed 6 months later. I didn't get my letter of recs on time. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. So things will not be perfect, but it's better to have a general plan. And yeah, everything does happen for a reason. I totally agree. It's just hard to believe that sometimes, but be positive. But yeah, and then another thing, I recommend you take your MCAT earlier than you need. And I know that's frustrating to hear, but like, for example, your application opens and closes May. It doesn't close in May. It's able to be submitted in May. And MCATs run between February and September, right? Or January and September. So I recommend you take your MCAT the September before you apply. And I know that's not totally doable. And I definitely didn't do that. I did mine in March, which is also fine. But the thing there is like, if you take your MCAT in September, you get your score by October. If you didn't get the score you want, you can be one of the first people to sign up for a new MCAT, and you have whatever date you want. If you take yours in March and find out in April that you need to retake it, there's going to be like no spots left. And your application will be late. So precisely, you got to plan this stuff. And then everyone thinks like, I'm not going to have to retake it. Or they're like, I hope I don't have to retake it. Things happen. It's very stressful. It's a very stressful environment. So even if you know everything, the anxiety is probably going to hit you a little bit. Also, work on your letter of recs way ahead of time because people take 5 ever to write letters of rec. Like literally 5 ever. So someone said, are you allowed to fail the MCAT and retake it? So it's not necessarily like fail, pass. The way the MCAT scaled is really weird. So like the MCAT, the average is a 500, but essentially if you get a 500, that's like low end of the barrel, like you're not really that great kind of student. In reality, if you want to get into like an MD program, you want to get like a 505-ish. So when I took it, it was like in the middle of COVID, everything was a mess. I got a 502 because I didn't study enough and I was like not as good. So yeah, everyone was like, 502 is not that bad, but everything else considered, I was also late. I also picked the wrong schools, whatever. So it was pretty bad. You're allowed to take the MCAT 6 times total, and you are allowed to take it twice per application year. So you can't take it more than twice in 1 year. And also, every school can see all of your MCAT scores. So it's not like your old one just disappears. Because I know that's how like the GRE is and the SAT is. You get the score you get, and that's on your record forever, which is scary. But a lot of people mess up the first one and do better on the second one. I would recommend, if you can, avoid taking it more than twice. No, SAT and stuff doesn't matter. I just took the GRE for the master's program. Kind of sucks, but it's fine. And then, yeah. Yeah, so the letter of rec thing, I personally found it really hard to like get to know professors in undergrad, because a lot of the classes I took were really big lectures, and the only classes where people really knew me, like professors really knew me enough to write me a letter, were Orgo, because I tutor for it, and then the people I research with. And no, not taking the SAT and stuff is not going to be a problem. Nobody cares about that. Other thing. The last thing you want is a generic letter of rec. Try your best to become close with the people who you want to write you a letter of rec, because you want a good one. You have to remember, all these professors write hundreds of letters of rec, and unless you stand out, all of the letters sound the same, and when people read it, they can tell. So you want to find someone who knows you enough to write you a good letter, who cares about you enough not to just write, this person is fine, you know? And you also want them to make it personal. So a lot of professors have like a template that they use, and they just fill in a person's name and like what they got in the class. So, yeah, exactly. Those smaller class sizes are so much easier. I also recommend going to people's office hours, even if you don't care about the class, even if you don't care about them. Show up, get to know them, let them get to know you. And in the master's program, I don't know about all master's programs, but the FAU ones at least, all the classes had like 30 people or less. So it was a lot easier to get to know professors. And okay, so a lot of schools say that you need 2 science professors and 1 non-science professor. So ideally, I would say get 3 or 4 letters from professors. And then if you can, get 1 from someone that you shadowed and 1 from one of the volunteering programs you were a part of. You can't submit all of those to every school, but it'll be at least like a fallback, right? And some schools do want to see more letters. So that would be helpful. Also, you're so very welcome. Something that I think really helped me get into FAU's med school was like, I submitted 5 letters of rec. 4 of them were from FAU faculty, and 3 of them were from FAU's med school's faculty. So if you get to know the med school professors, that's really helpful. Also, specifically the master's program I did was at FAU's medical school, and it is a lot. So, okay, the weirdest moment of my life, not the weirdest, but one of the weirdest, was I was doing something for HCOP, and I'm like presenting this thing. It was like so much fun. And then all of a sudden someone comes up to me and he's like, "Oh, hi, what's your name?" Blah, blah, blah. And we're talking. He's like, "Oh, nice to meet you." He's like, "Are you applying to med school?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Okay, cool. Well, like, when you're applying, just let me know and I can answer some questions and stuff if you have." And I was like, "Okay, like, who is this guy?" So I leave and I ask someone, I'm like, "Who was that?" And they're like, "That's Dr. Rose. He's like the head of admissions at FAU med school." And I was like, "What?" So yeah, be nice to everyone. Try and make some connections. It's super, super, super useful. And if you need any connections, I can try and help you. And then letters of rec from PBSC. I don't know why not. The only thing I recommend is try and have them be like people that you knew within 2 years of your application, because I'm pretty sure letters of rec are only valid for 2 years. So if you can get another letter from them, like right before you apply, totally go for it. Sorry, the hiccups are getting worse. But yeah, I forgot what I was saying because my hiccups were going crazy. But yeah, I feel like I've been talking for a really long time. I hope this was helpful though. I'm gonna just close this out on my iPad right quick. Okay, good, good. And then as always, feel free to ask me more questions, email me, and I'll work on that med school application survival guide. Have a nice weekend. Bye.